Okay, we are officially live. Welcome, everybody, to another day of 21 Days of Self Care. And I've got my good friend Mariana with me. Mariana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to chat with you. It's been a little while, so I'm so super excited to be here.
Definitely. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Who is Mariana and how did you find Brazily Fitness?
Yeah, so I've been a personal trainer and group fitness instructor for about 20 years, almost 21 years. Time flies.
Wow.
Yeah, long time. And it all started when I was 14. My parents are Brazilian, but I was born and raised here in Ottawa, right? And I was that super shy, awkward kid who hated gym class, the last one chosen for teams in gym class and stuff. And then I had to move to Brazil to finish high school and learn the language and
Wow.
leave all my friends behind. And it was really a challenging phase. It also, like unfortunately I went through an eating disorder while I was living there, and it
Mm,
was really tough. But what pulled me out of it was getting introduced to Brazilian music and dance and just like group fitness in general. And it helped me to slowly open up and like love myself from the inside out. So when I came back to Canada, I was like, this is what I want to help people do. Like I want, because in my head, I was like, I thought that to be fit and like healthy, I had to like sports because that's all I was introduced to at school. And I was like, no, there's so many other ways that you can be active and move your body in a way that you enjoy. Right. So I came back, went to college, started working as a personal trainer, group fitness instructor. And about 8 years into my career, I started to really miss Brazil. And I was like, I'm going back. And this time, I had like, it was a different mindset. It was my choice, right? So I took learning the language a little bit more seriously. I got deeper into the culture and everything and the lifestyle in general. And then I met my husband taking his dance class while living in Rio. So we really connected, through our mutual love of Brazilian dance and fitness. So now it's been almost 7 years since I brought him
wow.
to live here in the cold, and now we have this mission to just spread this joy like through Brazilian dance across the world.
That's incredible. And so, did you start Brazilian dance when you moved back to Canada, or did you start it in Brazil?
No, I started when I came back. So it's
Wow.
funny because I had like the name came to me, the whole concept, the business structure, everything came to me about like I would say like maybe a couple months before moving back. And
Mm.
then when you have this big dream and it just feels so out of reach, and like I would talk to God and be like, okay, God, I know this is what you want me to do, but like how, with what money, with what resources? So I was like resettling in Canada, and like
Yeah.
my husband had to like get, work here legally, all the like paperwork, all that bureaucracy, right? So I just kind of put it on the back burner for a while. So we started teaching classes here and there. But we didn't fully go all into our business until, COVID hit. I got pregnant the first few days of COVID. And then had our daughter, and after she went into daycare, I was like, okay, now it's now or never. So it's been just over 3 years that we've been like all in with Brazily Fitness. Yeah.
So exciting. Congratulations. Yeah, I love that story, especially just like some of the journey of resettling because I think
Yes.
when you have a lot of new immigrants, it's easy to kind of like come around alongside them and like,
Mhm.
and be like, "Oh, it must be difficult as a new immigrant." But like you were resettling.
Yeah.
And that can be sometimes just as hard. And then of course
Yeah.
your husband was a new immigrant. So juggling
Exactly.
all of that, pregnancy and starting a business.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That seems like
It's
a lot.
it's been a roller coaster. Well, we've talked a lot about all
Yes,
the
yes, the
the
roller coaster
struggles,
of
right?
although
Yeah.
we did meet a little bit after that. So it's
Yes.
interesting to hear a little bit more about the roller coaster before we met.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was tough because I was gone for 6 years the second time,
Wow.
right? So,
Yes.
like when I came back, like I had lost contact with all my friends, and then,
Right.
just starting to make new friendships, and then COVID hits and we're not allowed to leave our houses. It's like,
Everyone's like, my bubble's full.
yeah, exactly. And then, becoming a mom, and like all of a sudden like you want to have friendships with other moms so they understand
Yes.
your lifestyle, right? And just like where do I meet these moms?
Right.
So it's a tough transition for sure. But and also, like you said with Andre, like he has to learn English and, adjust to a whole different like culture, right? So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
definitely full of ups and downs.
Absolutely. And how do you see dance as something that allows you to experience that culture? Of course, it is Brazilian dance. So,
Mhm,
in that sense, there's that cultural piece. But is
mhm.
there more to dance that helps to like bring some of that culture here to Canada that others can experience too?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I love about dance is that it teaches you to believe in yourself, right? And
Hmm.
to just keep going and like, take that first step and keep trying, right? Because I find that here in North America, like we have this habit of like wanting to do everything so perfectly and like planned and organized. And
Right.
one of the things I noticed in Brazil is like things are much more spontaneous. Like you'll just like I remember like Andre would be like, "Oh, I invited so and so to come over this afternoon." I'm like, "What do you mean? We have no food. Like, what are we going to do? Like, the house is a mess, And I would get so like stressed about it. Right. And then I
Right.
started to realize that those moments where we didn't plan anything were always the
Mhm.
best moments because like your real
Wow.
friends, they're not going to care if your house is a mess or if like you have to like all get together in the kitchen and make food together. Like so just I think dance teaches you to be more spontaneous and live in the moment and not worry so much about, getting all the moves down because that's another thing in Brazil too. You go to parties and there are certain songs that everyone knows the choreography to, right? Like not that they know it perfectly, but they just jump in for like the party aspect of it, right? So that I
Right.
think is something that we're aiming to bring with with our company because just like finding the joy in dance in your everyday life.
I love that. And you just touched on something really profound, like in terms of just us feeling like everything needs to be perfect in
Mhm.
order to do anything, in many ways stops us from doing the things. So it's
Yes.
like we want people over. We want community most of the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
But because we don't feel like we're ready,
Yeah.
then we don't do it and then it becomes a vicious cycle. So
Mhm.
then it's like which one's more important? Is it more important to get everything in check or to just
Mhm.
like do something?
Exactly. And that goes for business and life, right? Because here it's like, oh yeah, I want to hang out with my friends. Like, what's your schedule looking like 3 weeks from now? And then it's like this back and forth, right? As opposed to there, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, let's walk over to the beach. Okay, let's do it. Or and that I don't see much of that here, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And do you think proximity plays a role in that too? Like, do you think
Mhm.
people know their neighbors more? Because I'm thinking, like, for example, for you, like, we're
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
it's quite a distance. So if I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, Mariana, I'm coming over right now,
Yeah.
I'm not really coming over right now. It's going to take me a
Yes.
while.
Yeah.
But do you think perhaps, like, back in Brazil, people live closer to their friends, or do they just know their neighbors more? Or, like, what's the
Yeah, well, we lived in Rio. It's a like gigantic city, right? But
right?
we lived and worked in this one neighborhood. So
Okay.
every like our whole circle was in that neighborhood. So we like very
Wow.
rarely left. So I'm sure that that helped.
It's like the 5-minute community or whatever they call it, like where
Yeah.
you live, work, and play in like the same
Yes.
vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense for just like
And we were walking
overall.
distance from the beach, right? So that makes a difference too, right? Like you don't have any money, okay, let's just walk over to the beach and that's our entertainment for the weekend. So
And it's free. Nature is free. I
exactly.
said that in like an earlier video.
Yes.
That's really cool. So that brings me to like the next topic, which is movement in
Mhm,
general. So dance is one way that I love to move, but I
mhm.
know that in general, movement can be difficult for some people,
Yeah.
right? And so we do have this initiative, Moving Together, where we're encouraging people to kind of get in pairs, intergenerational pairs as much as possible, and
Mhm.
do something together, right? What do you think are the main obstacles to pulling off something like that? Like, why do you think for some people that might be challenging?
To start moving in
Yes.
general?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that it's funny because when I started my career as a personal trainer, I was like 18, right? I was so young. And when my clients would say things like, "Oh, I couldn't make it to my session because, my kid was sick," or this, I'd be like, "Oh my God, they're just, they're not disciplined enough or it's not a priority," right? Because, little 18-year-old, like, what did I know about life and having other responsibilities? So now
True.
that I'm a mom, I notice it's a struggle. Like it's really hard to balance everything, just like constant juggling. And I only have one daughter, right? So there are people out there with several kids, and
Right.
one kid gets sick, and then it's like a domino effect. Every other sick, everyone else in the household gets sick, and then you have to rearrange your work schedule, and then you're out of sick days. So there are a bunch of things like that that I think get in the
Yeah.
way with people, just like, especially moms, like finding time for themselves, because it's just, like you have to like show up at work too. That you can't make it seem as if like you're like only taking care of your kids, because
Right.
you have to commit to your job too, right? So I think it's really a challenge. Another thing that I've seen a lot of moms complain about is that gyms here in Ottawa don't have childminding anymore. So
Mm,
before, like the few gyms that did, right, like it was an option for them to go do their workout, leave their kids, and then they could do it. And now it's like,
mhm.
what do I do with my kids, right? Well, so it's I think that is a big thing, is just like finding the time and just life, right? Just like fitting it into your schedule.
Your schedule. Yeah. Well, childcare is definitely huge. I think I remember there was that gym that we used to like go to, Lifetime. I think
Yes.
that's one of the reasons they were so successful, because they had like a kids section.
Got to bring
But of
Lifetime to
course,
Ottawa.
I know, right? But of course, it's expensive. But
Yes.
Lifetime, you're very welcome to come to Ottawa.
Yes.
And then I also know that, yeah, like back home for a lot of people, there's aunties, there's grandmothers, there's, you know,
Mhm.
that intergenerational care.
Mhm.
And usually they're so close to you that like dropping off your kids there, it can be spontaneous too. You don't have to like text
Yes.
it and plan it in advance. You can just be like, hey, I'm just gonna like leave them over with you for like a second. I'll be
Yeah.
right back, but we don't have that luxury anymore.
Not anymore. Like, I mean, I'm very fortunate that my mom helps us with a ton of different events that we do and things like that. She's always watching Bella, but like even this past weekend we were out of town. She stayed with her, but the thing is that she still works. Like, she's not retired yet, right? So like I
Right.
can't like expect her to just like not work all the time to take care of my daughter, and she doesn't live that close to us either, right? So
Right.
there is like,
All
it's not
these
just like, hey, I'll be there in 2 minutes. Like that doesn't really work.
doesn't really work here.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's definitely more challenges, and I guess we have to get more creative to get
Yeah.
over it.
Yes.
How do you think, like as a business owner, like with Brazily Dance, in what
Mhm.
ways have you innovated or pivoted or done things like that to make it easier for people to access dance and movement and all the joy that comes with that?
Well, I guess one of the ways is that we have an online platform too, so people
Right.
can, turn it on, put it onto their TV, and then they can get a quick workout in with their kids dancing around them if they want,
Okay,
right?
I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that is an option. Also, like in our home studio, like I said, we have a 4-year-old daughter, right? So while I'm teaching on Thursday nights, Andre is usually with her, like, playing in the living room. And then so there have been several times like where I've told the moms, like, bring your kids and they could just play with Bella while you're dancing downstairs. And so that
Right.
is something that, like, we don't charge extra for that or anything. It's like, just come dance, like have your time and leave your kids upstairs. So we're always like trying to be like aware of people's, limitations, right? Because it's a real
Absolutely.
thing. Like, it's either they bring their kids or they just don't have that time, like, to take care of themselves, right? So I think those are a couple ways that we've been trying. And also, our main goal with Brazily Fitness is to certify instructors, right? So that we have more classes all over the place to be able to, offer classes to more people, right? Because right now we have classes in Barhaven and also downtown, but we have people asking for classes in Canada and Orleans
Right.
and no, right? So we're very lucky that now we're going to have some instructors trained to be teaching in those areas, right? But until we get to that point, it's been a struggle, but we'll get there. We have our
Yeah.
first training. Did I tell you we're doing our first in-person training?
No, when is that?
August 30th. So
Yay.
yeah, so it's very exciting. So
That's wonderful. And is it mostly for people here in Ottawa that will feel the local need?
yes, but there's at least one, no, two instructors coming from Toronto,
Okay.
hopefully a couple from Montreal too. So
Okay.
yeah, it's going really well. So soon enough, you'll see Brazilian dance classes all over the world.
Yay. That's wonderful. And then they can walk 5 minutes to get to a Brazilian
Exactly.
dance. Yeah, and then
Exactly.
it won't be the obstacle. I really love the childcare piece though, what you
Yes.
said about how you provide that. So
Mhm.
moms, if you heard that,
Yes.
there's no
You're
excuse.
in Barhaven, come chat with
In
me.
Barhaven, you if
Yeah.
you got kids, that's okay. They can dance upstairs, you can dance
Yeah.
downstairs, or the other way around. I'm not sure. That's absolutely wonderful. And then certification. So who is the ideal person to get certified? Who should get certified?
Yeah, so we're primarily looking for people that are passionate, right? That really have this desire to help people and not just like to do like a fun workout, right? Because our whole formula is structured around building confidence and courage,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
the way that is structured is that some of the songs are easier to follow, but some of them are purposely there to make you think, right? So they have that added element of challenge because it's all about reminding you of your potential, right? And that you can do
Right.
hard things, right? Because
Right.
I always say this, like I firmly believe that each and every one of us were put on this planet with a purpose. And sometimes like me, like I told you, I heard the voice, the calling like 7 years ago and I put it off for a while before I took
Right.
action, right? And I think that a lot of people have that same kind of calling and then they just keep putting it off because they're scared, right? So but when you start doing a class like ours, which encourages you to just live in the moment, have fun, make a mistake, get back up, try again, right? And just like that process just makes you grow as a human being and then builds that courage you need to chase your dreams, right? So I want instructors, like our goal is to have instructors who have that mindset too, that growth mindset, that
Mhm.
like what they do is so much deeper than just like, oh yeah, let's go burn some calories together and like shake our booties, right? Like so like
Like,
instructors that
it needs
really
to be deeper than that. Like
yeah.
not just body. It's like the holistic
Exactly,
well-being kind of
because
piece.
they'll become leaders, right? Like they're people that will really show people that they can do whatever they want out of life, right? And you can be that person that reminds them, right? And I find that it takes a very specific type of instructor to do that. And also a type of an instructor that doesn't believe in like competing with each other, right? Like we're a community, we're working together, we're growing together. Like we don't believe in scarcity, like there's so many people in the world that need our help and there's no reason for us to be competing and try to be like, oh, my class is better than yours, like and because I've been in the fitness industry for so long, that tends to happen a lot where it's like,
Wow.
yeah,
That's
so like I
unfortunate.
don't want that kind of
No,
mindset at
no.
all. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
yeah.
that's really cool. I love that. I love that you've kind of defined that and you're able to articulate that and kind of
Mhm,
attract the right people.
mhm.
So another one that comes up a lot that's an obstacle for movement is pain.
Yes.
So we have people who maybe they work a long day, they have 12-hour shifts at work, or they're sitting all day and so their legs are hurting. So they're like, I don't want to dance at work because, my legs are hurting.
Yep.
And so I find that, a lot of our people, like one of my dreams is to like encourage people to dance after work, where it's
Mm,
like you are so supported. And that's one of my things with compression therapy is that you're so supported that after work you still have energy to do the things you love.
mhm.
It's not a one or the other, because I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes people feel, oh, I have to pick between kids and a business, work and fun, like
Yeah.
how can we have it all,
That's so
do you
true.
have any secrets of, I know, none of us do it perfectly, but do you have any
Yeah.
secrets to share before we end today? How do you think we can have it all in life?
I think just like finding a support system, right? And just getting information. Like I know that for pain, like compression socks are amazing. And I was just thinking about that because I have a nurse who comes to our classes every Thursday. And sometimes like she's coming from a long shift and like I
Yeah.
could see that like she's struggling like to do the class, right? So just like things like that, just like seeing what your limitations are and just like not ignoring them, like trying to find a solution
Yeah,
for them. Because I
right.
think, especially as moms, like, I mean, if Bella has like, a little bit of a rash, then like I'm online trying to figure out what it is, when it's like
Right.
something that's bothering me, I just put that off until like, like, whatever, I'll get to it when I get to it. Right. And I think we have to stop with that is like take our health a little bit more seriously. And
Yes.
I know it's easier said than done, but I think we just have to have that in the forefront of our minds. Like, I matter. I matter to the people around me. I can show up, for them better if I feel taken care of. So just making sure that you find, the right support for what you need, I think
Ab-
is.
That is wonderful. I can't think of a better note to end on. So, self care, you matter, and you
Yeah.
can show up better by taking care of yourself. So, thank you so much, Mariana, for being here today. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to yet another day of 21 Days of Self Care. See you tomorrow.
Thanks. Take care.